pleased to meet you. Pleased to have you on my plate. Your meat is sweet to me. Your destiny, your fate. You're my life support. Your life is my sport. I'm a man eating machine. I'm a man eating machine. You won't hear me laughing as I terminate your day. You can't trace my footsteps as I walk the other way. I come a man eating prey for me. I can't get enough prey. A man eating prey for me. Corporate cannibal, digital criminal. I'm a corporate cannibal, corporate cannibalized criminal, digital criminal, corporate cannibal. Eat you like an animal. Enjoyer of the year. Grandmaster of fear. My blood flows satanical, mechanical, masonical, and chemical. Habitual ritual. And eating machine. A man eating machine. I deal in the market. Every man, woman, and child is a target. A closet full of faceless, nameless, paying more for less, emptiness. I'll make you scrounge in my executive lounge. You pay less tax, but I'll pay more back. My rules, you fools. We can play the money game, greed game, power game. Stay insane, lost in this cell, in this hell. Slaves to the rhythm of the corporate prison. Eating can't get enough prey. I'm prey for me. A man eating can't get enough prey. A corporate cannibal, digital criminal. I'm a corporate cannibal, a corporate cannibalized criminal, digital criminal, corporate cannibal. Eat you like an animal. I'll consume my consumers with no sense of humor. I'll give you uniform chloroform, sanitize, homogenize, vaporize you. I'm a man. I'm the spot. Eating machine. Make the world explode.
bullet for the team. Took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free. Free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity. I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I still live through technology. The sun will start shining. What is the pain? As is the pain. As is the pain. Just be patient. Your destiny will manifest. Yes, for
You live in a different world.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? I hope that everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday hump day. Okay, you made it to the middle of the weekend. You are definitely, or middle of the week, shall I say, I'm sorry, middle of the week, going towards the weekend, okay? So you're almost there. Shout out to Queen Stevie in the building. Shout out to Queen Spicy in the building. Y'all, this documentary literally blew my damn mind. I was like, wow. But at the same time, I'm not really surprised because this is the age of Aquarius, which means that everything is being exposed. Whatever you are doing in the dark is going to make its way to the light. It's very important for people to do their shadow work. It's very important for people to go to therapy and to heal from traumatic experiences, because if you do not, and you do find yourself in positions of immense power, unbeknownst to you, you will become destructive, or like the title says, basically a THANOS. Okay? Now, originally, I was going to wait a few days to get all of my notes together because I really wanted to attack the bigger picture. Okay, I'm pretty sure there are other people, other YouTubers out there who have already released their videos, or they're in the process of making the videos to release them, who are going to give you more in-depth type of commentary in reference to like the symptoms of the situation. What this live, or part one of this live, the intention is to talk about the bigger issues, the bigger problems at play. The fact that these corporations and these people in positions of power, immense power, do not really care about the well-being or the safety of those that really work for them. It's very capitalistic. It is all about money, power, and control, and we don't give a damn what you do. As long as money is involved, attached, and we're able to make some, you can do whatever the hell you wanted to do. And in this documentary, it kind of highlights Schneider being that individual. Okay, so with this, again, it's going to be more of an open-minded, objective perspective. I'm doing the best that I can. I might ask you guys to help me out a little bit because I'm not going to be able to cover everything. Okay, as much as I want to cover everything, and I feel like everything deserves to be explained and investigated, I'm only one person. So I'm going to do my part, which is the open-minded, objective part and looking at the bigger picture. Because it was, again, the immense power without any sort of like control or restraint or having people around you that you trust who can be able to tell you, bro, you tripping, sis, you tripping, look, you tripping, and to be able to get you back into alignment. And Hollywood is very much about titles, and once you reach a certain title or reach a certain level of power, a lot of people will bleed out their insecurities and their issues and demons onto other people. Okay, and we're going to speak about that because the documentary kind of gets into that in the beginning with Dan Schneider's brief growing up. Okay, now before we actually get into this live, we got to do the smart thing, y'all, right? Because we're talking about Nickelodeon and all them, because baby, don't be trying to strike my shit, okay? I am not making any money off of this, okay? I know I'm not going to be monetized because, baby, I like the freedom in saying whatever the hell I want to say, okay? Because I'm going to be blessed anyway. All right, but I don't want y'all striking my shit or suing me because like I always say, especially at this moment in time in my life, okay? If you sue me, it'll just be a practice round, okay? So with that being said, boom. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay? So, with this live, there will be spoilers. So, if you have not yet seen Quiet on Set yet, I would ask that you please pause this live and go watch that first so that you will have greater context to what we're going to be speaking about on tonight, or what I'm going to share, shall I say, on tonight. And I would love for y'all to share y'all perspectives and y'all thoughts as well. Queen Stevie says, I'm hearing so much about this documentary. I had the pleasure of sitting down with one of Nickelodeon stars. See, you need to watch that, Queen. Like, baby, it's available on HBO Max. It's available on Hulu. If you kind of know how to do certain things, girl, you can find a way to watch it. No shade. But I'm just saying, I would advise you to like watch it because it really speaks to the exposure. Because people keep asking, why now? Why now? Why wait 10, 15, 20 plus years to speak the truth? But then when we share their stories and we make everything add up with all of the receipts and everything, it kind of tells the story that when you have powerful people that hold your career in the palm of their hands, that at any moment they can just sneeze and squeeze and destroy it, that you will do anything to secure your spot. And as I'm seeing, again, objectively looking, at the bigger picture, it's like that on the entire spectrum, shall I say. From the highest of heights with these A-list celebrities that we think are living such a grand, fabulous, just wonderful, stress-free life, all the way down to the common, everyday McDonald's drive-through worker. That there is some form of power that is trying to suck and zap the life out of their workers. That regardless where you are on the spectrum, again, especially if you are a marginalized group, like a black person or a queer person, that you are going to be overworked and underpaid. And these individuals have shared their experiences. They have facts to bring up their experiences. And I get it. It's the court of public opinion. That definitely makes sense, and I take that into account. But if we're going to do that, we have to take into account everything. So after I give my notes, we're also going to listen to a response from Dan Schneider after he finished watching Quiet on the Set, and he shares that he is sorry for those experiences, and if you are, this time is going to have to be about reconciliation, which means that all the promises that you made in the past, even though you didn't really keep them allegedly, going forward you're going to have to keep them. Reconciliation means I literally apologize for what I did wholeheartedly. It was wrong of me. I can express why I did it. I can make it make sense. I even take the accountability of if this person does not even want to fuck with me anymore after this, I'm okay with that. But also let me do something to change it in the future so that we don't get back to this part. You get what I'm saying? So before we get into that, let me go ahead and take a sip of water real quick. 1 second. Ooh, I was able to catch it in time. Okay, let me go ahead and go down to one of my musics. Which one do I want? Is it this one? Is it this one? I don't think it's this one, is it? 1 second, y'all. That's not the one. I want this one. Okay. Let me pull up my notes here. 1 second. All right. Okay, here we go. The purpose of this live, because again, this is part 1, is to speak about power dynamics, denying children's voices, preparing children for Hollywood, overworking, exploiting and abusing children, and also destroying the lives of children and their families. Okay, we're going to get into the whole Drake Bell and Brian Peck situation in part 2. Okay, I kind of want to deal with Dan Schneider in this point right here. Okay, now first of all, again, I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s child. I was born in 91. I remember Saturday night being one of those nights, especially on the weekends, like on a Saturday. It was prime time for children. You know, on a Saturday, you woke up, you ate breakfast, you watched morning cartoons, then you went outside and played, you rode bikes, you may have went to your friend's house and played video games or whatever the case may be, and you come home around 6:30, you take a shower, you eat, and then by 8 o'clock it was prime time. You had Kenan and Kel, you had all that. You had Are You Afraid of the Dark? You like had so many shows that were very, very like influential to children in the 90s. Like, it was a really big thing. Nickelodeon was the ish. It was the spot. And I never had a chance to really visit Disney World when they did have the Nickelodeon studios open, because I would have loved to go there. One of my favorite shows from Nickelodeon was Legends of the Hidden Temple, which was a very traumatic show for kids. It was very scary, but it's still one of the ones that I remember. Okay, so when I was told to watch this documentary and I looked at it, I kind of gagged, because at the beginning of the documentary, they literally tell you that, yeah, it's probably going to ruin your childhood and how you view Nickelodeons in the 90s, okay? And they weren't lying, all right? So let me see. Okay. So first of all, with part 1, we're going to start with Dan's inception, talking about all that, and then the Amanda Show, okay? So again, this is my perspective on it. Again, there are other people on YouTube who can probably go deeper in certain areas that you want to, and if that's the case, you can definitely go to them. I'm just trying to look at it from a different perspective, okay? A bigger picture perspective. Now, Dan grew up as the awkward fat kid. I think it was stated that he even said that out of his own mouth, that he was the awkward fat kid. And because of that, he was being overlooked, you know, in reference to society's false perspective that if you're fat, you're undesirable, okay? Even by his own parents, his father who went to Harvard, and also the parents not having very high expectations of him being successful at all. So he was dealing with all of this growing up, just having to really figure life out, not already being popular, already being ostracized. And for a lot of people who are overweight, they find that if I want to be overweight, I need to at least have something to kind of balance it out. So with that said, let me go ahead and be funny. So he's the awkward fat kid who also was funny. And because of him being funny, he discovered his turnaround when he was casted on a hit TV show at the time, Head of the Class, Of course, even in that role, he was playing as the fat kid, okay? But dealing with manifesting a part on Head of the Class, he was determined to prove that he's more than just the fat kid, right? He's a talented writer, and that one day, that talent is going to overshadow him being the fat kid, excuse me. Okay? And that actually happened. He manifested an opportunity to co-write for Head of the Class, and in 1994, he was offered the breakthrough opportunity to write the pilot for one of the cultural shaping children's shows of the 90s, which was All That. Okay? Now, Dan had stepped into a level of power that he was really never really prepared to genuinely handle in a healthy manner. Again, he was growing up as the awkward fat kid. It seemed like the only time people really acknowledged him was because of his talent and his gifts of making people laugh. So if that's the only realm, or if that's the only marker for me to be able to feel like I'm accepted by people, even at my own demise, even if I am the butt of the joke, that's fine. Let me join in, and maybe I'll build camaraderie there. He didn't have really people in his life, at least to me, allegedly, who was able to like affirm him and say, despite you being your size, we love you because you're Dan. We love you because of that. And because there was no great responsibility that comes with great power that he started to walk into, he was now the fat kid who's also the THANOS of worlds, where one could make or break the lives of whoever. And as we discover, even with the individuals on Nickelodeon who had amazing success, that everybody is expendable. Now, because of his success with All That, he again manifested the opportunity to produce The Amanda Show. Okay, and you know that was a very big show at the time. I still remember The Amanda Show, okay? Now, for Amanda Bynes, especially at that time, to receive her own comedy show at a young age, that was very rare. Normally, or unfortunately at that time, and even today as we can see, unfortunately, female comedians had to jump through millions of flaming hula hoops for years in order to manifest their own comedy show on syndicated television. Okay? Now, the show focused on Amanda's excellent comedic timing and her talent. That is what got her the show. That is what really caught Dan's eye and saying, oh, she's a star. Let's give her this show and let's watch her go. Because again, Dan is the golden child of Nickelodeon. What's going on, Deshaun? What's going on? Okay? But unfortunately, in the entertainment industry, where money is God above all things, despite this situation or the countless documentaries that have come out exposing people in the entertainment industry, they see that money is God. That is the one thing that makes you or puts you in control. Unfortunately, because in the entertainment industry, girls and women are viewed of one of two ways. Either they're viewed as innocently sweet, like, what's her name? Shirley Temple. And we've heard the horror stories that she had to endure at a young age. Okay? So they're either viewed either innocently sweet or hypersexualized. Okay? And little did Amanda, and we know at the time, little did we all know that the Amanda Show would serve as the gray area where hypersexualization would be seen and celebrated in an innocently sweet way, according to them. Okay? Now, you would think that because the Amanda Show was shaping the culture of the youth, especially for girls, that there would be more women writing and working on these shows. Again, we're talking about being more inclusive, you know, allowing women to actually show up in their gifts, in their talents, and not have a predisposed notion of them that, oh, you're a woman, you can't be funny, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? So you would think that this was happening. Now, this is where we are introduced to Christy Stratton and Jenny Killigan, two women writers for The Amanda Show, who shared that instead of it being a fun, creative, safe, and empowering experience, which it may have seemed in the beginning, that it was one that, unfortunately, above all that, destroyed their careers. Now, at the time, it was difficult for women writers to become employed, especially in comedy. Both of these women were in survival mode. Okay, both of them were doing, well, Christy was doing temp jobs, and Jenny was trying to find opportunities for her to be able to showcase her talent in writing. Okay. And again, they were in survival mode until they were offered an opportunity to write for the Amanda Show, but at a cost. They would have to have a joint salary pay, which means that they both would be benefiting from one salary. They would have to split it down the middle, even though men were offered their own full salaries. But for them, because they were in survival mode, they saw this as their big break, right? To transform their lives, to have their talent acknowledged, appreciated, and respected. Now, because of those dreams becoming a reality, they accepted the offer. I mean, you got to pay your dues, right? Unfortunately, they experienced the crushing reality of male patriarchy, and that if you wanted to benefit from this system, you're going to have to let that system humiliate and haze you, and you're just going to have to take it. Again, you got to pay those dues, right? Now, Jenny shares how the beginning of the character Penelope Taint from the Amanda Show was created, sharing that in the writer's room, allegedly, Penelope's last name, Taint, is the word taint using or explaining the area between the balls and the anus, and that it was in a writer's, room insider's joke. Okay, I was kind of typing fast, y'all, so you gotta forgive me for some of the grammatical errors. It got me kind of stumbling a little bit. Basically, it was a joke. Dan has a dark sense of humor. I have a dark sense of humor, so I can kind of somewhat understand, but I also know the times and the place for appropriate. I also know the times and place to be appropriate for dark humor, and not everybody's going to rock with it. But again, he's the showrunner. He's the boss. He's the golden child. There's nothing I can do that's wrong because they love me. I'm the one that's bringing in the money for them, and if they get rid of me, they'll be fucking dumb. They'll be stupid to do that. So of course, when you're in power, you get to control the climate. So they shared in the writer's room that was how the name came up. Like, okay, we're going to use the word taint. It's an adult joke. Don't tell nobody about this because, this is children's stuff. All right. Now, when it was questioned by someone from Nickelodeon when they were kind of going over the script for approval, Dan shared that her last name is Taint, like tainting something. Like, what do you mean, taint? Like, this is children. I'm talking about tainting something, even though allegedly what he really meant about the joke was the adult sexual innuendo of taint. Okay. And the person from Nickelodeon just kind of shrugged it off for like okay. Where Christy shares that is true power. Okay. That I can say one thing, and then in the midst of people who have power to get things done, I can lie. Y'all in the writer's room know it was a joke, and if y'all want to keep y'all jobs, y'all better learn how to laugh at my shit and not make it feel like it's uncomfortable. Because if you do, that could cost you your job. And let's not forget that Amanda is a little girl, portraying a little girl, not knowing the sexual innuendos going on behind the scenes. Now, Dan had fostered a caring, fun environment in the beginning, but unfortunately that would be overshadowed by his frequent lack of emotional awareness and intelligence, and wielding his power in ways that transformed this caring, fun atmosphere into one that was tense, stressful, and, to some of their accounts, sometimes frightening. And if you're to stand up for yourself, share your concerns about what's going on, that it could cost you your career. Now, when Jenny decided to contact the Writers Guild about splitting salaries because she was told that was not right, okay, and was also told that doing that was against the rules of the show, because of that, it resulted in Dan being investigated by the Writers Guild and then requiring to pay both Christy and Jen separate salaries as opposed to the joint one. And Dan found out about it. He ended up calling Jenny at home to let her know that if he finds out that she was the one behind the complaint, that it would be her last time working for Nickelodeon, or let alone Viacom. Basically, you won't be able to live your dream of becoming a writer in this city. Okay? Now, the women share their own experiences. Again, you can go to HBO Max or Hulu, and you can listen to it for yourself in greater detail. They share about their experiences that dealt with them being sexualized, them being discriminated against because of their gender, and all those things. So they were dealing with a lot of stuff, and also being overworked, like being asked to stay longer to edit this but not getting paid for it. So, you know, a lot of times when you're working, you're not just working because you love it. You also want to be funded to be able to do the things that you love to do outside of work when you want to decompress and relax. And they really couldn't do that because Jenny shared that Dan required all of your time, including weekends and overtime. So Christy decided, well, look, I'm just going to take 2 personal days, just 2 personal days, okay? I'm going to go to a concert, enjoy myself, you know, I'm getting paid. You know, I went from temping to working as a writer on one of the hottest fucking shows on Nickelodeon. Like, I'm going to relax and enjoy myself. And I also want to spend time with my friends who are probably asking me, bitch, are you okay? Are you dead? Like, damn, do you not care about us anymore? Okay? And because she did that, Christy ended up being fired because of that. All right? Even though, again, the show demanded that she worked weekends and overtime because, again, you got to pay those dues, right? Remember, paying dues. Now, for season 2 of The Amanda Show, Jenny was offered a chance to come back and write, but it would be, again, at a cost. It would be on a 16-week contract, but she had to work for the complete season, 27 weeks, okay? Which means working 11 weeks for free, which devastated her, okay? She had put in this time and this work, her sketch, her writings, her work, her contribution helped to make The Amanda Show the motherfucking Amanda Show. And she also discovered that a white male writer was offered full salary for season 2 with no prior experience, even though Jenny again had proven herself through her talent of writing. Again, you gotta pay those dues, right? So it wasn't just discrimination against women. There was always, and also, unfortunately, some racist aspects to it as well. Okay, because we also get into Raquel Lee, oh, I'm gonna mess her name up, I'm sorry, Ballou, excuse me, and Brian Christopher Hearn's experience, who struggled for Dan's attention and to be on his good side, because again, Dan is the showrunner. He's the one that's responsible for spinoffs. If you end up getting on his good side, you might get a little extra time. You might get a few extra lines. You might get your own character design that becomes hot and popular to where people talk about it. Like, and again, the black children had to work twice as hard to be in Dan's good side, be on his good side, okay? This put them in a position to be stereotyped as well because of their skin color. Okay, now Raquel felt like life was on the upbeat because she's on a show that is growing in popularity, The Amanda Show, and being 12 at the time, she's literally walking out the dreams of so many other little girls who want to be on the screen, who want to be in her place. Now, Brian's dream was to get his family up and out of the hood, you know, to manifest a way to make that dream a reality, and all that seemed like the bridge to make it happen, because of the harsh reality that all that would bring to both Brian and Raquel. But in this particular instance, Brian, to this day, he is still healing from those experiences, racism, through therapy, as well as the breakdown of his relationship with his mom after all that happened, okay? Now, he shares an experience where he played the youngest rapper of all time, which was Little Fetus, a rapping embryo. Now, while they were fitting him for the costume of Little Fetus, which is his bodysuit, they mentioned that the color of the bodysuit should be charcoal. As we can see, Brian is brown skin. That comment emotionally disturbed Brian to the point where the makeup artist that was doing Brian's makeup ended up, you know, putting their hand on his shoulder to console him and say, don't listen to what those assholes said. You know what I'm saying? A racist comment that young Brian had to endure in order to stay on the show. Again, you gotta pay those dues, right? He also shares his traumatic experience with On Air Dare, which is like the children's kids bop version of Fear Factor, with him being covered in peanut butter and having dogs lick the peanut butter off of him, which he audibly stated that he did not like at all. And looking back in hindsight, it looks like some sort of very like weird perverted act that someone would want to do. That's kind of like, wow, you know what I mean? That's crazy. It was traumatizing to also see his fellow castmates subjected to those experiences. Now, season throw, Lord, I'm trying to put 3 in rows together. Season throws. I'll be reading too fast. Season 3 rolls around, right? And Brian is excited. Again, his dreams of transforming his life and the lives of his loved ones was still in motion. We're going to get up out the hood, y'all. I promise you. Because for a lot of those children at that time, they were the breadwinners. Their parents were relying on them to bring in the money. So he had all those dreams that he was working on manifesting, only to discover that he was not going to be invited back for season 3. That dealt a strong blow against him. He blamed himself as well as his mom because she decided to speak on the blatant injustices against her son. So you'll have, when we talk about these experiences with child actors, and child entertainers that end up going down a very dark road, like the R. Kellys and the Brian Pecks and all that stuff, a lot of people ask, well, where are the parents? Like, aren't the parents there? And isn't it required for the parent or a guardian to always have their eyes on their children at all times to make sure and ensure the safety of their children? And I forgot the individual's name who was the cultural critic on there, but she stated it very beautifully. Like, when it comes down to children, the environment needs to be not 100% safe, 1,000% safe. Like, these children should be vulnerable enough to be able to vocalize and say, hey, I don't feel right about this. Hey, I don't feel okay about this. Because again, these individuals are the ones that are breathing life into these works. And again, like I stated in the beginning, from the top, the highest of heights to the lowest of lows, there are people that are being overworked and underpaid that we don't even understand, that are doing it behind the scenes, who are living the experiences, who then share their experiences 10, 15, 20 years later, only to be told by a lot of people, or a large group of people, like, why are you talking about this? This is, oh my God, you should have said, it shouldn't matter now, you waited so long, oh my God, oh my God. But it's like, again, they tell their stories about the fear. About the fear. And let's get into the parents, because there were a few parents who saw some of the shit. Raquel's mom and Brian's mom. And in part 2, we're going to get into Drake's father, who saw the bullshit too. Let's get into the parents real quick. What's going on? Let's talk. Now, Raquel's mom saw things on the set that troubled her. Now, she wanted to speak up, but was afraid of the repercussions of her child might face because of parents being aware. Now, with Brian's mom, she brings up Brian's first sketch, where he plays a character that's trying to sell Girl Scout cookies on the low. He's not even a Girl Scout, but he's selling Girl Scout cookies. And the way that Brian was told to act was very, like, stereotypical. Very stereotypical. That sketch was sketchy as fuck, y'all, because they had Brian low-key playing a drug dealer trying to sell drugs cautiously. See, she, along with a few other, and a lot of them were black, no shade. The black parents was like, what's going on? What the hell's going on, okay? She was able to see things that the other parents, a lot of them purely driven by money, chose not to see. She even talked to Brian's agent about it, you know, because again, the agent is used to dealing with clients. So she came to the agent asking, like, well, what do I do? Like, how do I deal with this? Only for the client to respond to her and tell her, look, just do it for Brian. Just shut up. Just take it. How many times have we heard in the entertainment industry, not just for children, but for adults too, for black people, for queer people, and for women, who are always being told, oh, just keep going. Next time, we'll get them next time. Next time, despite the talent that is there, despite the gifts that are there, despite the fact that people are showing up every motherfucking Saturday to watch the people on these shows. Okay, let me stop. Wow. On the day that they found out that Brian was not being invited back for season 3, in that moment, according to Brian's mom, his body language showed that he grew up, protruding a stature of him not being able to trust his mom anymore. Because Brian also shares that one of those experiences, he was like, I can go get my mom for this shit, because my mom will come turn this whole motherfucker upside down. Excuse me. But again, couldn't. Because again, the lifeline, the dream. Why do you think they call it the American dream? It's a dream, and then the people get into the dream and find out it's a fucking nightmare. And that you have to have unhealthy competition. And that the children aren't really fucking safe. That the women aren't really safe. That they're being told to keep going, and one day, never for that day to come. And then when they speak their experiences about when that day is going to come, and they stand up for themselves, they are ostracized by not only the entertainment industry, but also the opinion of the public. Just people who are saying, oh, well, you can go work at McDonald's, you can go work at Wendy's. Bitch, my job and my goal and my dream was to get my family out the fucking hood. I could get my family out the fucking hood working at a Wendy's or a McDonald's, especially when I was on a nationally syndicated television show that millions of people, even your kids, tuned into. And how these children, even the ones who were critically acclaimed by Nickelodeon, such as Amanda Bynes, that they end up having fucked up adulthoods where they're still healing from the traumatic shit that they dealt with as child actors. Now, in the midst of all the murkiness and just the toxic environment, and I know the word toxic is like demonized and beat to death, but I mean it's true. Despite those toxic environments, the children did have someone that did stand up for them and go to bat for them, and that was Virgil, who was the director of all that. Okay, again, he went to bat for the kids, making sure that despite the demands of Dan, despite the demands of the system, that the kids had some sense of trust and safety with him. God knows they were looking for it. If it wasn't sucking up to Dan, trying to get on this good side, not lose your job, they felt they could be safe with Virgil. Because again, he's the director. He's the one that's got to make sure everybody feels okay. And when the bigwig comes in and just fucks the whole flow up, the director has to deal with recalibrating that. And because of him standing in for the kids, that costed him his job. Also, when Virgil was going through a particularly difficult time, Dan did not reach out at all to see how Virgil was doing. And that's why I made sure to also highlight capitalism, because capitalism in a sense is kind of like how a lot of people in society respond. Why are you complaining? I mean, you made some money, right? You made some money. And it's like, yeah, I made money from the situation, but at what cost? And isn't it stated somewhere that for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? A lot of these children, okay, are losing their fucking souls. And because we're on the outside and we don't know what's going on the inside until now, we see the glitz and the glam. They talked about the Teen Choice Awards and how the system, again, profits is profit over everything. Money now also buys tangible things. It also buys people's loyalty and people's bodies. To once again, now the blending, the amalgamation of sexualizing children, even in the teenage aspect, that being the bridge of what Nickelodeon did, what Dan Schneider did, and all of the sexual innuendos that were happening to these teenage girls in front of us that we didn't really question at the time. Now, it does bring up another point that I thought was interesting. What do we think? Because again, I'm thinking about this objectively as well. What do we then think about? What do we do then think about when it comes down to some of these movies that have R ratings but also involve child actors at the forefront? Now, did those environments and those sets make sure to be extra careful with children because this is a R-rated version? Because if all this shit is happening on a children's network that is PG or E for everyone, and this type of behavior is going on, I can only imagine what's going on in these more adult-themed movies. Also, Dan is going to share, as we see this interview with him responding to Quiet on Set, where he had test groups where children, he did skits for children to see what was funny to them. And let's be real, as children, for some reason, gross things is funny to us. Farting is funny to us, especially boys. So it's a very, very thin line, and I think we need to have more conversations about that. So, I mean, it's opening up a can of worms. It's literally opening up a can of worms. What's up, Harold? Okay. What time is it? We can do this because I said at 9 o'clock. My sister and her girlfriend, I'm gonna watch it with them because I can't wait to watch it with my sister. My sister gonna be tripping the hell out. I'm gonna have her ass come hit this joint a few times, girl, because I need to have her ass high. And we gonna watch it in the living room on the big TV, girl. My TV the second biggest. I thought I was the biggest in the house. No, hell no, it's a 75-inch downstairs, girl. I'm trying to be on that level. Okay? But let me know when you're ready, Harold. And while we're doing that, we're going to listen to Dan's response to Quiet on the Set. All right? Because at the end of the day, I do believe that people should have the opportunity to redeem themselves. But you're going to have to put blood on the mercy seat, pimping. You're going to have to, again, do reconciliation, which means that all of the hurt that you caused, you're going to have to find a way to contact every single one of them. I ain't talking about on the phone, pimping. I mean, find a way to contact all of them. Find a way to meet up with them face to face and look them in their face and tell them that you're sorry and allow whatever reaction they have to your sorry to be. And then offer ways to make a change. Because in the clip we're going to listen to, he's stating all these things that he can do better. And, I wasn't the great boss at the time. And it's like, okay, we see that you're aware of what you've done. Great. We're grateful for that. Now it's about putting that into action. And, I mean, if Dan Schneider wants to do that again, he's going to have to go through the fire. He's going to have to go through the accountability of hell, only for all the false things to be burnt away so we can see the truth. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the live. Let me get my other music together. Let's do this one. Cut this down, it's kind of loud. Because he was striking the hell out that damn piano. Again, copyright disclaimer. Okay, fair use doctrine is in effect. Let's take a listen.
Boogie. I played T-Bo on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay. I really appreciate you reaching out and giving me the opportunity to talk to you about what we saw over the last 2 nights.
I'm really glad you're here because I believe this is important.
For sure.
We've got a lot of things to unpack. But before I dive into my list of topics that I'd like to discuss, is there anything you'd like to start off with?
Absolutely. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation. And even additionally, I apologize to the people who were walking around Video Village or wherever they happened, because there were lots of people there who witnessed it who also may have felt uncomfortable. So I owe them an apology as well.
Yeah.
And no shade, that apology would be valid if you didn't challenge people who opened up their mouth and kind of shared that they were uncomfortable. Again, if you would have had emotional awareness and intelligence, you would have been able to notice, like, oh my God. And I would think that with you being the awkward fat kid, you will already know what that type of, like, oh my God, like, awareness people are looking at me would be. But because you are the big shot now, because you are the individual who is making the calls and the moves now that you are doing that, you know, who gonna tell you no? When you get into an immense level of power and you don't have people around you who is able to help ground your ass and help your ass be accountable, the word no is interestingly removed from the vocabulary until it's time to be accountable. Then it's I'm sorry. Okay.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses. Most TV writers, comedy writers have been in writers' rooms, and they are aware that a lot of times there are inappropriate jokes made and inappropriate topics come up. But the fact that I participated in that, especially when I was leading the room, it embarrasses me. I shouldn't have done it.
But again, you're leading the room, so the people are following your flow. You are the leader, so with the leader, you have the opportunity to literally change the atmosphere. And there are multiple people who have stated that you have done just that. That you would come in and the literal atmosphere would change. The smiles will be removed from the faces. So again, if you're leading the room and they're making these comments, I mean, Christy, she ended up sharing that you were supposed to owe her ass $300 because you was saying that you was going to give her that if she were to eat 2 pints of ice cream, and she never got it. And she made the joke, you're going to add it to my tab? I mean, you're being funny. Let me be funny with you. No shade. Like, if we're going to play this game, let's play this game. I'm okay with equality across the board. But he called her into his office, allegedly, and had a big fit about it. And these people, again, shared that off rip. They already knew that there's a right and a wrong answer. And it's my job to figure out which answer that is and to stay on the right one. Because if I ever make that a wrong one, even if I'm joking, even if I'm trying to be funny with the guys, the fellas, that it could cost me my job.
And I can tell you why it hurts really bad for me. I remember very clearly my early experiences, my first experiences in the entertainment business. I was green, I was scared, I was excited. It meant the world to me that I was getting those opportunities. And I went in and I got lucky because they were great. My first couple of experiences were fantastic. And the fact that I didn't pay that forward to every employee that walked through my door, it hurts my heart because I should have. And I wish I could go back and fix that.
But I'm trying to understand why you didn't do it at that time, though. Because, again, you were doing this for a while now. For a while. Yeah, because it's out now. You get to, I don't know if it's because you get to objectively see it from people that you can't fire. For people who you can't make one call and that's it, like the court of a public opinion, not having these thoughts. And on top of that, this is not something that is just new. Like some of the information that we're getting is new, but I remember back in the day when, like from 2011 to 2013, I was very infatuated with these Illuminati videos that talked about the entertainment industry and all the shit that's going on. And even some of the subliminal sexual messages that are put in children's media, not just as we can see on Nickelodeon, but also on Disney as well. How that system is literally preparing children for what the grown-up version of the Hollywoods is going to be like. We gonna primp and prime and groom you motherfuckers well, so that when you get to the top and you've been indoctrinated in this way, because again, you're gonna be the breadwinner. You're gonna be the one making more money out of everybody in your family. And we've seen child stars literally emancipate or try to emancipate themselves from their families, only for the system to sink their hooks and their teeth deeper into the person.
In the writer's room, there's no doubt that sometimes those jokes went beyond the pale, and I said things that went too far, or made practical jokes that went too far, and that was wrong. And that was because, you know, I was an inexperienced producer. I was immature. Wouldn't happen today, but I'm just really sorry it happened.
Not only was it immature, again, when you come into the system, you gotta play the game. And again, this is not just Dan Schneider who is being accused of all of these sexual innuendos that he's placed into these children's shows. There are other people who do children's work who have been found out and questioned and investigated to have done some abuse to children. It would be one thing if Dan Schneider was an isolated incident. He was just this weird, out of everybody in Hollywood, he's just this weird, quirky, grown man-child who just still thinks from a child's perspective and think that that stuff is funny. But it's not. It's an ongoing thing that happens to a lot of children. And you have children who have been in these things before social media, before Twitter, before all this other type of stuff, who are experiencing the dark side of it, that we get to sit up here and be like, I don't know, until we're in it. And the gag is, you can be in it, because Hollywood is always looking for the next, because there's gonna always be a next. And if you don't want to be a next, you better give up that neck and that throat. And not only is there a casting couch for adults, we're discovering there's a fucking casting couch for children. Come on, y'all.
Yeah. Now, we know you've had a lot of success over 2 decades. Thousands of people have worked with you, for you.
Okay.
Let's speak directly to the people who did not have a good experience with you.
Okay, I would like to speak to those people, because I hate that anybody worked for me and didn't have a good time. You know me, you've been on my sets. Look, I've had some employees that have worked for me for 10 years, some more than 20 years, who would work with me again, but not everybody. There's still a significant number that didn't have a great time working for me, so my batting average isn't nearly high enough in that area. And the way they wouldn't get the best of me is that I would let the pressure of doing 40 or even more episodes per year, I would let that pressure get to me, which a good boss should never, ever do.
Was there specific things that you were doing?
Sure, I would snap at people sometimes. I would be snarky when I could have given them a nicer answer. I would not give people the time that they needed. I would be in too big a hurry to get on to the next thing I had to do. And watching that show, it made me, there were so many times I wanted to pick up a phone and call some of those people and say, I'm so sorry, and let's talk about it, and I wish you'd had a better time, and I wish I could have shown you a better experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what the move is going to have to be, pimping. Like, you worked with this individual who's interviewing you now. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, go on an apology tour, and not just apologize, but actually put in the work to do something differently. The reason why this shit is blowing up is because there's so much of it happening that people are now opening up their mouths and sharing it. But we also live in the information age, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So now, again, like I said, this is the age of accountability, or the age of exposure, where objective truth is going to shine, where it says every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. This is literally what's happening. It doesn't give a fuck if you're a multi-millionaire. It doesn't give a fuck if you're a co-executive or a producer or a writer or a bigwig. It doesn't matter. You're human. And it doesn't give you the right to treat people like trash because you are in a position of fucking power. Didn't Tyler Perry's motherfucking not Why Did I Get Married? Diary of a Mad Black Woman have the song where it says, ain't it funny how life rolls around or goes around? The same people you meet coming up, you see them coming down. And like I always say on this channel, if it's one thing a person is going to always remember about you, they're going to remember how you made them feel. And Dan made a lot of people feel really bad.
Now, you've written hundreds of episodes. Thousands of jokes have been told.
Yeah.
But currently where we are, some people think that some of those jokes are inappropriate for children. What do you think of that?
All these jokes that you're speaking of, that the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny, okay? Now we have some adults looking back at them 20 years later through their lens, and they're looking at them and they're saying, oh, you know, I don't think that's appropriate for a kid show. And I have no problem with that. If that's how anyone feels, let's cut those jokes out of the show. Just like I would have done 20 years ago or 25 years ago. I cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am.
Yeah.
So if there's anything in a show that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's a solution.
The last thing I want to ever do is
One
put
of the
any
solutions.
content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV. Why would I ever want to do that?
That makes sense. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of elaborate on something.
Okay.
The thought process from the series is you had the power to just write a joke, and no matter what, it's going on
you in the back
TV.
here,
You
and
just
I'm gonna
had
sit
that
for a
type of power. Is that true?
The notion that I had the power to just produce whatever I wanted and have it air is completely false.
Okay.
There were many, many levels of scrutiny. Okay? We had executives in LA. We had
Matter of fact, Harold, do you want to come up during this part and kind of dissect this with me a little bit? We can do it for, what time is it? 8:47. We can do it for like until like maybe 9:15, maybe 9:30 max. Let me know in the private chat if you want to do that, or if you want to just wait until this whole video is done, because this video is like almost 20 minutes long. We like, shit, where we at? I don't even fucking know. We still at the beginning stages, so let me know, okay?
executives in New York.
Changes
So
the
two
music
coasts.
Two coasts
Okay.
of
Both coasts.
approval, yes. And by the way, approval at every stage, really.
Okay.
And I'm talking about wardrobe.
Okay, we're gonna bring you up there, Harold. 1 second. Okay, play the music, girl. I'm about to say, what's going on with the music? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Harold.
Hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening.
What's going on? How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Ah, Lord,
Hello
we
to everybody
go.
in the chat.
Yes, yes. We okay. I just want to get to watch this with my sister because I want to hear her damn thoughts. She gonna lose her damn mind, Lord. But this clip is basically just Dan Schneider responding to what he saw on Quiet on the Set, and he seems very apologetic, which a lot of people do sound like when they're caught or have to be accountable. But it's like, now that you're being accountable, I also do believe in redemption. Like, I believe anybody can be redeemed. It's about, are you willing to put in that work? So he's going to share some solutions that he has, things that he wish he could do better. And if he wants to be a writer again, I feel like he's going to have to, first of all, call every single person up and see if you can meet them face to face or do a podcast. It would be dope to do it publicly. to show people what accountability looks like with every one of those people that you hurt. And then if you are to write again, to actually start employing some of those solutions that he's going to share. So as we listen to this video, if there's anything that stands out to you, just say pause it real quick, Bubs, and we can go ahead and do it, okay?
Okay.
All right, no problem. Let's continue.
Talking about makeup, sound, sets, dialogue, jokes, everything.
Now, when you say approval, obviously that's a hierarchy, not your colleagues or
right.
people in the room. Okay.
No, not my colleagues. No, these are my bosses. Bosses, and then their bosses, and then their bosses. And they're approving all of this stuff.
Okay.
Okay? And we're also shooting it in front of all sorts of adults and caregivers and the set teacher and the families. Everybody's watching it. And if anybody had said anything, hey, we don't like that, that's not appropriate, then it would have been cut out.
But at the same time, though, Dan, when you had that Penelope Taint alleged joke put in there, and then somebody from Nickelodeon questioned that and said, doesn't this kind of sound a little sexual, like taint? Like, you mean the place between the dick and the ball and the ass? And you turned around and said, oh, no, I mean it like tainted, like she's tainted. So it's kind of like, even if there was an opportunity for there to be some true, genuine accountability, instead of you being like, you caught me, yeah, let me go ahead and change it.
But why
you
would
just
the
turned
character be
around.
tainted?
That's what I'm saying.
Because see, when I always thought it was Penelope Tate, not Penelope Taint. And so when he says that it's supposed to mean tainted, what, like, how does that, like, the little girl, she wasn't possessed or anything, so how does that mean tainted?
Right. I think he's gonna have to like probably break that down, which I mean at this point in time, it's like, bro, when you sit up here and do, how can I say this? I say it
Because
all the
he
time.
damn lying.
It's accountability. Like, people think that because they have title and power that they're exempt, and it's like, no, as we can see, obviously not. So it's like, what are you going to do to make an actual change, especially if you're trying to work in this industry again? Which
And
I'm
it's
pretty sure the
also an
industry was
insult.
upset. Go ahead.
Low key, it's also an insult on people's intelligence, because there were people who actually caught on to that at first.
Yes.
And by the fact that he's saying, oh no, it means tainted, that's an insult on people's intelligence, because they were actually right.
Exactly. So like, again, now because you're being objectively accountable, because like I said, you can't fire me. He can't fire you. You can't ruin our careers unless we were trying to get into the Hollywood entertainment industry and he discovers our name and what we said, and yeah. But it's like, you have to objectively deal with this now. And I get it, you want to be apologetic. And I don't think Dan was like very much aware, like he was trying to be tyrannical. Like I said in the beginning of this live, they talked about Dan's life, about him being the awkward fat kid, and how he never really had, the only control he had was being funny. And he was able to transmute that into opportunities to where he was able to write. But because he didn't deal with that, he didn't go to therapy and release all of that. Because he's going to mention therapy here, and I'm like, Pimpin', I hope you taking it before you suggesting it, so we know that you're real. But it's kind of, like, let's just get back to today, because I can talk.
Now, I'm gonna push back a little bit, because the series painted you in this way that you were just the guy that was doing what he wanted, and people were afraid to confront you about things. So just humor me, say that was the case. What would have been the ultimate way to...
Okay, if nobody on the set, if all of the dozens and dozens of adults that were on the set, if they didn't say anything, if my bosses said, if they insisted, you got to make a change here, you got to cut that, I had to do it. I had no choice.
Got it. Now this next one, it kind of hit close to home. Being a new father, I wouldn't be opposed to my child being in the entertainment industry. It doesn't matter what age, yeah? Seeing some of those on-air dares, seeing it now from where you are now in your life, what do you think of that?
I think that some of the on-air dares went too far. I think they pushed the envelope too far. Not all of them, not most of them, but some did.
But nigga, you are the big wig. Like, you are the leader of the pack, girl. That's
why I say it's just, to me,
I
it's...
want to be the leader, but don't want the responsibility. You just want all the accolades that come with it, because now you can be the awkward, quote unquote, fat kid out of his mouth. Awkward fat kid with money now. Didn't we just see you on the thing, bro, where you was in the... When they did the whole, I forgot what season it was of all that, where they were calling the phone and saying that Dan's a god, you got this big titty chick feeding you shrimp and shit. In the
It
back of
had
a
to
damn
be,
limousine.
It had to be during when the reboot happened, because I don't think that happened with the original cast. I think like the new kids were in, so that had to be like maybe season 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, but if these people are speaking about their seasons down the road, it's like I can only imagine what happened. Like we got the first season, a few other seasons of people who were even willing to speak out, because some people are afraid to speak out. Because again, these are people's livelihoods that these individuals get to control, and not based off of your gifts and your talents. And oh, this person was just able to bring this character more to life than you. It's other underlying things that's going on. Oh, come over and do this for me. And, I can get you a
Now,
part.
how much of it have you seen so far?
I watched all 4 episodes. I'm gonna watch all
Okay,
4 again tonight.
okay. Now, if you notice, the only ones from the original cast that spoke were Katrina Johnson and Leon Frierson. Those are the only two from the original cast that spoke. Nobody else from that original cast said anything.
Yeah, because again, they have uh, roles and connections. Like even with all that, I mean, all the Kenan and Kel, like they was on all that. Duh, Lord forgive me, it's been a long time. Like they're
Yes,
successful now.
we
They're
grew up
success.
with these people.
Yes, we grew up with them. Like I said in the beginning, I remember it'll be Saturday by 8 o'clock. Your ass is playing it in front of the TV, and you heard that all that theme song with TLC rap and singing and
We
rapping and
remember
shit.
the original cast.
Yes, yes. But it's like again to see this happening behind the scenes, and it answers the question to me why people wait so long, because people have to heal through these things. Like it's
Hmm.
not easy to relive these traumatic experiences of your career being destroyed or having things being done to you. Because when we get into part 2, I gagged when I saw Drake. I said, oh, Drake, what are you
Uh,
finna say?
Listen, I literally gasped. I was like,
And
I
not
was not
only
expecting that.
Yeah, and not only that, I definitely want to get into that because, especially in this social climate with queerness, because Brian was a queer person, I don't have time for people to be saying, I told y'all about some queer people.
Right.
I told y'all, something is wrong. They
Exactly.
always seem nice. They always trying to be cool. But lo and behold, they got John Wayne
A
Gacy.
whole
Lord help
serial
me,
killer.
Jesus.
A whole serial killer.
Up on the damn wall talking about look at my shrine. Like what? Like okay, let's get back into it.
Nickelodeon wanted to do their version of Fear Factor. At the time we were shooting All That, so I was tasked with doing these on-air dares with the All That cast. So we get with the writers and we come up with all these ideas, and it's hard to do because we don't have the budget of Fear Factor, and we can't put the kids in dangerous situations like the
Drop them
adults are
off
put in.
buildings
So
and shit.
it was hard to come up with stuff. But we would come up with all these ideas of dares they could do. We would give them to the network, and they would say, tell us the ones that were okay.
Right.
Those are the ones we shot. Those are the ones that aired. At the time, I had no indication that any kid ever had a problem with them. But when I was watching the show,
Brian literally said, I don't like this. As he was getting licked, I don't like this. I don't like this. Like the
And to
social
me,
critics
looking
said,
back, looking back at it, that looks so weird.
it does. It does. Like, and again, children, yes, children find weird things funny. I had a little nephew that when I would babysit him, I would make fart noise and he would just be on the like playing around, and he would literally just fall on the ground laughing. Like it's wow, you laugh at this. So I understand that. But when you have kids that you can audibly hear say, I don't feel comfortable about this
He said it on camera.
on camera. And then on top of that, like, you talking about the adults around. What about Brian when I shared that he was getting fitted for the little fetus costume and somebody said, oh, you need to find the charcoal color. And that the makeup artist was like, don't let that
And see, I
happen.
would have had to go get my mom on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Calling me a piece of charcoal. I would have had to go get mama.
And I think
And
Mama
she,
was Jamaican, so you know she ain't
oh
motherfucking playing.
yes, she was about to rampage through
Bumby Claude me beat
there.
bad boy. Boy. Shit.
She was gonna rampage through the place.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't go get her,
But
because
that's what
he
I'm
know his
saying.
mama.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And then again with black people, like the sketch, like you literally have stories of black actors who, when they go into casting and they read for a part, you would have the casting agents and the people that be like, I mean, yeah, that's good, but like, could you just be like, like a little bit more ethnic, like a little bit more yo yo yo, like he's a black
Hmm.
person. This is a sketch comedy show, which means we take shit and Amanda Bynes was doing crazy shit. I sentenced you to being chased by a bear. out of the blue, and a bear come out of nowhere. Like, we're supposed to be. This is children. This is the land of fantasy. Why are we still implementing these stereotypical roles in place? It's kind of
because
just cringy as fuck.
because the damn higher ups are racist.
Hell yeah, we all know this. All this, the old ass. At the end of the day, with the age of accountability, the age of Aquarius, the old ass dinosaurs at the top, girl, who are getting ready to retire, who are afraid to retire. It's a part of life, baby. God willing, we get there when we can get to that age too. But this is a new way of thinking, and this system is capitalistic. It's literally profiting on every aspect of life. Even those who are living these quote unquote lavish lives, who then tell us how they're getting fucked on the back end, and we don't give a damn because our excuse is, well, at least you got money. Well, at least you got money. Yeah, they have money, but they're traumatized, and the money they have is not even theirs. It could be taken from them. Like, come on, y'all. We have to wake up. Let's continue.
For the past 2 nights, I now know that there were kids who did have problems with the on-air dares. And it breaks my heart. And I'm so sorry. I am so sorry to any kid who ever had to do a dare or anything that they didn't want to do or weren't comfortable doing. We went out of our way to make sure they were safe and that everything was done properly. But if a kid was scared and didn't want to do it, kids shouldn't have had to do it.
Yeah.
Period, the end.
Right.
And if I had known at the time, I would have changed it on the spot.
Now, we also...
How you not know? I'm sorry. I just
He's full of BS.
Because it's like, no shade.
He is full of BS.
Oh, but I didn't. How, if the people on the set can literally say that when you in particular walk into the fucking room, that the atmosphere changes, and you didn't see that? I don't know, if it's because of the upbringing of being the awkward fat kid that you're used to that, to where it's like, now because I have money and power, I don't.
Is it ego?
I don't have to be aware. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a form of ego. Like, I don't have to be aware. I'm rich. I don't have to be aware. I'm the Thanos of this whole thing. Like, I think the social critic even stated that when he was in the bathtub with Amanda, he said, I orchestrated this. I'm the one that was able to make all this happen. Like, literally telling us in our face. And yes, that is a form of ego. Just like how when men, no shade, fuck in front of a mirror and they get that sense of pride, it's an ego inflation. That's what's happening. And he just thought that he wasn't gonna get caught. At this damn point, shit.
Saw the series highlight 2 former writers' viewers, 2 women, who spoke about a wage discrepancy. Now, I know that you don't divvy out salaries. Talk to me about that part.
Well, you're correct. I have nothing to do with paying writers. I never have. I've never made a writer's deal. And of all the writers I've been in a writer's room with, I never even knew how much most of them were getting paid.
Yeah, but we saw these 2 women who were writers for you sharing one salary. How does that happen?
It's very simple. There's a common practice in television when hiring writers. If you have a spot for a new writer, sometimes you'll go to 2 writers and say, hey, if you 2 new writers for your first job are willing to share a salary, you can both have the job. They have the opportunity to say, yes, that sounds good, or no, no thank you.
But at the same time, girl, I hate when I'm pausing. But at the same time, these people just shared that they were surviving. They were women. It was hard for them to get into the system, to get into the fucking business. It was difficult for them. You put this in front of them. They said, okay, fuck it. This is probably, again, pay my dues, pay my dues. But it becomes an issue and a problem. Fuck the pay. The fact that these women also had to give all their time to you. They had to work weekends. They had to work overtime. Christy was fired because she wanted to take 2 days out of working all the time to enjoy her damn self, and that was a problem. That was a fucking issue.
What was it? She went to a concert, and I think she went out to eat or something like that.
She went somewhere with her friends to enjoy her friends. So my thing is, if I'm going to take this,
like I'm already sharing a salary with this chick. Why can't I take a few minutes out of my day to go enjoy myself?
And then Hollywood is saying, you're on our time, which means that you have to give us your time. So even if I want to recalibrate, even if I want to get myself together, I can't because I have to think about the project and everybody else. I'm the one helping this project to happen. If something happens to one of the people in the project, again, it's the system so they can replace them. And you're having these women taking a joint salary and then overworked and underpaid. So no matter where your ass is at, if your ass work at McDonald's, White Castle, Burger King, Walmart, or whatever, or your ass is behind the scenes being a writer at a damn show somewhere or an actor on a damn show, just be prepared to be overworked and underpaid, especially if you are a person who is black or queer. Because how many black women like Taraji P. Henson, like Viola Davis, these women who can act their asses off and act with the best of them, who are getting paid less than? Did we just hear about The Color Purple and them being given a bullshit budget and told that y'all gotta make it okay, it's gonna be okay? This is motherfucking Oprah Winfrey and them. How y'all skimming out on the production and y'all have talent? Y'all have talent. But that's why Hollywood is a system that is created
It
to
runs
take your
deep.
dream and suck the life out of it and leave you as a fucking shell. And there are so many people
Woo.
who do
Ooh,
not
it
even really
runs deep.
survive that. People don't understand that. They don't understand that. And again, in 2011 to 2014, like I said, there were these videos coming out about the Illuminati. And when you look at occult practices and what is done and what they do, there is something known as hiding truth in plain sight, which means they have to show you some of the truth, because in order for it to manifest, there has to be some form of truth at the basis for it to come in. But they get to control what that truth is for you. So there were a lot of Illuminati videos, I tried to look it up on YouTube today, and I couldn't find the original ones of like videos of Disney where they would insert sexual innuendos, like in The Lion King, when you freeze frame the sky, it says sex in the sky. How they were very adult, inappropriate stuff, and not even just in Disney, even in Cartoon Network. How much shit have we seen that was very much sexual innuendos? Like, come on, bruh.
And speaking of Disney, I fully believe that documentary is coming up soon.
No shade, before I press play, you know what documentary I really can't wait to get on, baby? It's coming out. Is this motherfucking Freaknik
Oh,
documentary?
that's tomorrow. That's coming out tomorrow.
Baby, I'm gonna watch that shit. I'm gonna get on here. I'm gonna talk all my shit. Cause some of these motherfuckers that's talking about sexy red and all that shit, y'all hoes was the prototype. Y'all hoes was the blueprint. She got booty hole brown from y'all's mamas, who is now a nurse practitioner, now principal, now CEO. Yeah, she was busting it wide open back in the day for Luke and them.
And you know it's about to trigger up a particular demographic over here.
Ooh,
You already know.
It's one. Let me tell you something. That's why I say this is the age of accountability. Like, when you point the finger at somebody else, understand you literally have 4 fingers, including your thumb, pointing back at you.
Pointing right back at you.
Hello. Back at you, so there's more awareness on you. That's why when I get up on these platforms, I always get up here and speak from what I know. And even when I don't know, I say ignorantly, and I'm willing to be educated, and I'm willing to say that I'm not beyond reproach. There are certain platforms, especially a lot of black men, that feel like they have the answers and stuff like that. I want them to talk about this, because some of them individuals is married to some of the Freaknik hoes. I can't wait. It's age of accountability. Like a wise mystic once said, it's certain things that I just keep replaying in my mind when I go through things and be like, okay, let me get my shit together. At the end of the day, it's better to just expose yourself. Just do it now. Just
it really is.
Truth. Just do it. Just tell them the truth. 8 Mile to shit. Be rabbit to the shit. Let me rap about myself. Let me drag myself. Let me put myself on the motherfucking cross. Because if I climb upon the cross, that's sacrifice. If you put me up there, that's murder. And y'all not finna murder me. Y'all not finna murder me. So it's best to do it now, because you're going to be exposed. Even if you feel like you ain't got shit worthy of being exposed, you're going to gag. You're gonna gag. Anyway, let's continue. And thank you for being up here with me, Harold. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
We gotta do
my
this
pleasure.
Because I really want to start involving y'all a lot more. Because I know I can talk, and I'm so used to like low key listening more so than talking, especially before I became BubzDaGawd and stuff. So I kind of want to get back into that and hear y'all thoughts, because y'all be saying some things too, and I really want to.
In this case, it was 2 women writers. I've done another show where that teaming was done with 2 male writers, and they split a salary. I did another show where it was a male and a female writer, and they split a salary. So,
and these are all first-time writers.
All first-time writers looking for their first gig.
Got it. Now in the series, they also highlighted 2 black actors who said that they felt overlooked. Now I want to be clear. I'm never going to speak on anyone else's journey. Yeah, I can talk about my experience, how my experience was with you, what I saw prior to working with you, but again, I don't want to speak on anyone's journey. I saw you be honored for diversity in your work.
Yes, and the reason for that is diversity has always been very important to me in my shows. If you go back to the very first Nickelodeon show I ever made, that's very evident, as it is in the second one, and then the first movie I ever made for Nickelodeon, which starred Kenan and Kel, and every show I did after that had a lead black actor in it. I'm very proud of that. It's very important to me. And not only am I proud that they were in my shows, I'm exceptionally proud of the achievements they've had beyond my shows, and they've gone on to bigger and better things, and that gives me a great sense of pride.
Well, something that really kind of bothered me was how they depicted your relationship with the cast.
Yeah, it bothered me too.
Yeah, just me being there, I knew the dynamic was trust. I understood that in situations where they may have had turmoil, whether it be with their families, whether it be other castmates, they came to you. Versus how they made you look. With that said, Amanda Bynes was brought up in the series and her emancipation and how you were involved in that. Can you talk to us about it a bit?
Sure. Amanda was between the ages of 16 and 17, and she wanted to get emancipated from her parents, which was a fairly common thing with successful young actors, at least at the time.
Sure.
And she wanted that for herself. So she turned to her team, which included her lawyer, her agent, her manager, her publicist, me, because she included me as part of her team, thought of me that way. We supported her. She tried to get emancipated. It ended up not working out. She didn't.
Well, since we're here, let's stay here for a moment. There was also an incident where she had ran away from home, if
Yes.
you would. Can you talk to us a little bit just to clear the air of exactly what happened in that situation?
Yes. One night, it was very late, well after midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. Phone rang. I answered. It was Amanda. She was upset. She was in distress. She had had some conflict with her parents, I think her father, and she called me. I was immediately concerned about her safety. I called someone who I knew was fairly nearby. That person was able to go and pick her up. Then I knew she was safe.
You know, I find it funny how he has a answer for every question about Amanda, and he's giving his side of what happened. But how about we hear from her and let her tell her side of the story so we can compare the two? You know what I'm saying? Like, and see if her story matches his, because to me it sounds rehearsed. His answer sounds very pageanty, very world peace.
And I mean, it does, because again, I'm still trying to remain objective, but at the same time, I'm reacting like everybody else. So I'm still going to be open to all things because I want to hear both sides. That's why I also want to give.
And see, that's the gift I don't have, because once I already feel like I have a feel of what, you know, you're putting down, I can pretty much draw my conclusion. And to me, it's just, I feel like he's just full of BS.
Right.
And this is another but mere damage control.
Right. I in a sense, I do agree with that. Because like I said, I'm trying to be objective and still think about redemption, but we still have to see the obvious. And I do believe that's the case. Like, again, when we look at these stars who try to emancipate themselves, look at how their careers change. They're in this very vital moment or point in their life where they're transitioning from being a teenager into young adulthood, and that's when we start seeing these characters start growing. Like it was mentioned in the beginning, they're all just sweet and innocent, and when they get older, now they're these sexual things to be desired and lusted after for the consumption of men. So when Amanda was going through that situation with her parents, because again, she's the breadwinner, so of course it's like, how the fuck don't parents say all the time, he who holds the money holds the power? Well, guess what, goddamn it, I'm the one. I keep the lights on in here. You go in the living room, cut the lights on and off, and say thank you to me. But they're the but they're the child. But they're the child. So a lot of times parents are gonna be like, hold on, wait a minute, Pip, and like, hold on, we helped you do this too. And because they're connected to that point of power, and it's about them, it's their show, they're the ones that are being highlighted, they're the ones who are growing in critical acclaim. You're just known as the parents of Amanda Bynes, not Amanda Bynes' parents, the parents of her. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like she wanted to emancipate herself, and that's when the system to me was kind of like, yes, because now we'll have more control over her. And look at what happened to Amanda Bynes now. Look at her now. She's still trying to recuperate and recover, and I feel like she's going to open up her mouth and speak on this situation. Even for Drake, like, Again, we're going to get into
You
part
know
2
what?
later
I
on.
like. I really felt like that yesterday too. Like I had a feeling. I was like, now that this documentary is out, I feel like shit it's gonna give her the strength to give her side of the story. Like I said, and that's why I'm like, okay, it's cool that you're saying that, Dan, but we also need to hear from Amanda.
Yeah, yeah. And even Drake said when he was in therapy, he said that that was the first time that he actually felt like heard and felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And even with his girlfriend, he felt heard and felt safe. To the point to where it was like it's hard for him to even express what actually happened, and a lot of people would be like, think like, "Oh, you're lying. You don't know what you're saying." Because again, all this is alleged, but as we can see, obviously it's not, because he went to jail, and not only that, he got a light sentence, and his ass got back on another
Yes,
children's
Disney
show.
hired him.
Disney
Disney hired
hired
him.
him. Y'all ain't run no background, so y'all can look at the black people and look at them all sideways and all that type of shit. But you got this whole individual who just got arrested,
A
who has a
hold.
whole and registered as a child, a sex offender, and he's able to be around children.
As soon as he was done serving his time for Drake, Disney hired him for The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I was like, wow,
And that was one
that's
of my damn
crazy.
shows back in the day, and I didn't even fucking know that. I didn't even know that.
That is insane.
But again, it, like you said, it's really, really deep, and we're just now just. I'll say we've recently been scratching the tip of the iceberg, but now we about to really go down the rabbit hole. And I think at the end of the day, love yourself. Love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, this world is going to try to pimp you of your energy. We have this, what this whole documentary is about, and this is not the only documentary. How many child stars have said this? We can go back to Shirley Temple, who has openly admitted about what the fuck she had to go through as a child actress being sexualized. At
Oh,
that
and
time,
that was like back in the 40s.
before Twitter, before Instagram, before YouTube, before TikTok, before all these social media outlets. It was happening. So it's like, at this point, what more do you need to see? But I think we're so ingrained in this, and we're so hypersexualized ourselves, that it's difficult for us to really see the truth, because if we see the truth, we'll be afraid that a part of us is in there somewhere.
I felt better. She ended up being taken to the police.
Well, regardless of what some people may think, I think it's only positive that you are there for people when they need you. That said, let's talk about some of the things that have just been swirling forever.
Okay.
You were banned from your set.
Never, never, never happened. That is a false rumor.
What happened?
Add it to the list of false rumors.
Talk to me, what happened?
They were adult actresses at the time, and they had their own specific reasons for not wanting to do the show anymore. I'm not judging that. It got tense, and what they don't know, maybe, is I did everything I could to make that show go away. My producer partner at the time, we would call and say, this is not a good situation.
Okay.
So I decided I'm going to do what most showrunners do, which is, you're not on the set. There's a director there to shoot it. I'll go up to the writer's room. I'll work on the next script. But because everybody was so used to me caring about every detail of every show so much, for me not to be on the set, yeah, maybe some people thought I got banned.
So it was more of an...
Everybody caring but you, but yet you the one, but yet everybody talking about how you cared about every little thing. Tell her, I don't know that bitch name, but tell her, cut that out. And then when she got sick and had to go to the hospital, and said before she left and said she was gonna come back, his first response was, who's gonna edit the episode? But everybody else was waiting for you to do everything. That's why I'm like, okay, let's continue.
Assumption, because this guy's usually here,
Right here,
and now he's not.
I don't know if it was an assumption. I don't know if somebody thought they were making me look bad by saying I got banned from the set. I have no idea.
Okay.
All I know is I was never banned from the set.
Yep. The darkest part of this series discussed child predators. Now, I want to make sure that we clear a couple of things up.
Okay.
Brian Peck was not hired by you.
No, I did not hire Brian Peck.
This was a Tolan Robbins production?
Yeah. And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. And I told him, I'm here for you. What do you need? Which Drake mentioned in the show that we watched last night. And next, I heard that he went to court when this guy was being tried, Peck, And when Drake walked in, he saw 50 people sitting on the side of the courtroom supporting Peck. A lot of them pretty famous. Of course, Drake was devastated that that happened.
We'll get to that in part two.
And even more disappointing, 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency, and they knew.
And not only that, a lot of them said that, oh, he must have been tempted so much that he just eventually gave in. But he gave in multiple times after telling the person during the first time, it won't happen again. I'm sorry, something came over me.
Which is the exact same thing they say about women when it happens to them. The exact same thing, literally the same thing.
I be telling y'all don't think y'all don't think y'all smoke weed now.
Oh, you must have done something to entice that man in order for him to come on to you. Bitch, I'm a child.
Let's look at the church. Oh, you had that tight dress on and you was tempting the deacons. First of all, I can't help that God blessed me with something that obviously your ass lost a long time ago because your shit sagging to the ground. It's closer to hell than my ass is. Okay?
How about this motherfucker needs to have some self-control? How about that?
That is the issue. That's the issue. You're supposed to control yourself, especially since men are stoic and know how to control their emotions. Control that sexual motherfucking emotion. Control that. That's what they say, being stoic. Even though the expressions of stoicism that we've seen on a few platforms have kind of been questionable, but it's kind of like... wow.
It's like a sex demon almost.
Well, when you're in a system that doesn't teach you to control that literally says that you are free to do that. I mean, when we get into part 2, which will probably be like either tomorrow or the next day, how a lot of the children, a lot of the girls at that time were wearing skimpy clothing and doing questionable stuff for these young ass boys.
Tube tops, they were real popular around that time.
Hell yeah.
Crop tops.
And I was kind of gagging to see Ariana Grande do some cringy ass shit of like, oh, put the water on me. Oh, I'm trying to get the juice.
Now, see, I had never seen that because I think by the time Victorious and iCarly and all that stuff was on TV, I think I was in high school, so I wasn't watching Nickelodeon then.
Right. And at the same, I didn't either. No shade. I was on Nickelodeon, then I moved to Disney, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But like, what was I about to say? I was about to say something. Damn. What was on the tip of my tongue about Ariana Grande?
You were talking about the potato.
I was trying to go somewhere else with it. Don't worry about it. It'll come back to me. Come back to Deshaun said, yep, those women were really revealing in the 90s and early 2000s. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Thank you, Deshaun. To, I guess, Dan's detriment, he was the first vlogger. So he was actually documenting himself doing certain things that is now coming to the light, and you have to be question about it. But again, because at that time, and again, we're being objective, but we also have to speak about all the things too. You had the power, man. Like everybody else knew not to get on your bad side except you. Oh, because you're the powerful one, so you have the luxury of not being aware of that. To where again, you have writers and editors who are responsible for putting the show together. They're the ones who are actually helping to manifest your vision. If you don't treat them right and treat them good, of course, the product is not going to be good.
Right, and not being aware of how you make your employees feel on your sets.
That is the thing, and that's not even just up there. That's just across the board. Even for people who do work low income jobs or minimum wage jobs or whatever, like, it's the same thing with them. It's the exact same thing with them. Like, again, no matter where you are on the spectrum, they expect you to overwork and be underpaid. And it's like, no, if we're going to be equal, I want to be paid for my work and what I do. Because if you don't, then they get to control the reins or move the goalposts on what they consider work and what's not work. Oh, you can't stay an extra hour or something? Brian even said in the documentary, oh, well, aren't we breaking the child labor laws? And even now, I think they're trying to put into law, correct me if I'm mistaken, where they're trying to lower the age to where children can work so that children can work younger now.
What?
They're trying to change the age so that children can work younger now, which means that they can work longer hours and also be overworked.
and raise the retirement age. They're trying to lower the age for kids and raise retirement age, like,
Yes, give us all your energy, and we'll hope and pray that you live long
and
enough
give
to
us
get
your
this
whole
bitch
life.
back. Give us your whole goddamn life. And that's why it's like, now with this awareness, we have to do something different, because I'm kind of somewhat of a conspiracy theorist to some degree. But even with Hollywood now, with adults, like, AI is starting to take over to where all they need is your face and your voice, and they can create whatever the fuck they want to do. That's why you have these actors now that when they get some sort of residual checks, they're getting 32 cents. Like, they're trying to find a way to remove human beings because human beings are too needy. They need to be recalibrated. Let's just go ahead and put AI and technology in their place. Not use technology to help advance or to coexist with humanity, which I don't have a problem with, but to have technology override humanity. So it's kind of like, for a lot of them, I'm feeling like they don't really give a fuck about all this stuff being exposed, because their plan is already in motion. It kind of seems like it's too late. Like, you can talk about it now, like, we've already won the war. Y'all over here trying to win these battles. We've already won the war. It's a very scary thing to think about.
It is. It really is.
But that's why we have to, in this moment, make a change. Like, not only hold these people accountable, but we also have power too, because they need us. If we're not here, they can't use us. I mean,
Yes.
if we're not there, they won't be able to benefit from it. And they've been trying to find a false way to benefit off of not having humans around. So that's just my thought. Again, I could be wrong. Again, it's subjective. Leave your thoughts below. Share them. I really want to know. All right, let's continue. We almost done, y'all.
Knew that he was guilty. They knew he had confessed to some degree, and they still did this. That's baffling that adults would do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people know this, but Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said, Dan, I'm not good with words like you are. And would you help me with my speech for the judge? And I said, of course. And I did.
Is he crying?
And he ended up going to prison and serving his time.
He red in the face, so he crying.
And yeah, that was probably the darkest part of my career. And here's the kicker that I really don't get. After he got out of prison and was, to my knowledge, a registered sex offender, he was hired on a Disney Channel show.
And of course, you're gonna talk shit about Disney. You repping Nick.
I don't understand that. I never, I don't understand.
Yeah. I appreciate
he
you
was-
sharing that, man. Are you okay? You want to take a minute?
Say what?
Yeah, I might. Let's keep
I
going.
said, but he was employed by you first.
Okay. I think we really unpacked some important things. We set the record straight on a lot of things. Before I let you get out of here, I appreciate the vulnerability that you use in knowing that there's definitely things that you would have and should have done differently. Is there anything that we haven't discussed? Anything that if you could go back and navigate the journey differently, what would that look like?
Yeah, there's definitely things that I would do differently. One that I think would be really, really important is when you're hiring young actors, minors, to work in television, I would suggest that we have a licensed therapist there to oversee that process for the specific reason of making sure that those kids really wanted to do this job, that they really wanted to be on television. Maybe they should even be informed about what that means. What's it gonna mean if you're famous? What's that gonna mean on social media? What's it gonna mean within your family? Let them find out. And then that way, if a kid doesn't want to be on a TV show, they can opt out. That psychologist, that therapist could come to us and say, this kid doesn't want to do it, or their parents aren't understanding of what's going to come. And then we could avoid the mistake of ever putting a kid in a TV show that didn't want to be there.
Okay, and before we, because to some point, I can see that being some of a benefit. First of all, if you're going to get a therapist, it needs to be a therapist that's not contracted with Hollywood as far as in connections with them. Like, it's going to have to be somebody that's like from an independent or a reputable source that is not going to just collapse under the amount of money that you're paying them to where they're just going to let anything slide. And I'm the therapist. I was there, so I can just say that nothing happened when it did. So I do agree that therapist needs to be there. I also do agree that there needs to be some sort of Matthew Knowles school of media training that needs to be established. Like, I think that would be dope, like a boot camp for kids to help them understand what it's going to be like in Hollywood, so that when they get on the set, they're more confident. They kind of understand what things are and not being so green like how Dan was, where he could have used that opportunity as being an individual who understood what it's like being green on a set to make the experience better for everybody else. So it's like, I do agree with that. Because a lot of these children don't know how to handle fame. A lot of these children, again, are coming out of certain situations where money can make certain things better. Not everything, but it can make certain things better. And these children don't know how to really navigate that in a healthy way. And the system, in my opinion, tends to like navigate it for them, which again is why a lot of the successful children end up emancipating from their parents, because they want to be in control of everything now, not realizing that they're not the ones that's in control. It's the system, and they want that to happen. They want that to happen. All right, we're almost done, y'all.
And additionally, the main thing that I would change is how I treat people and everyone. I definitely at times didn't give people the best of me. I didn't show enough patience. I could be cocky and definitely overambitious, and sometimes just straight up rude and obnoxious, and I am so sorry that I ever was. And all right, when I watched the show, I could see the hurt in some people's eyes, and it made me feel awful and regretful and sorry. I wish I could go back, you know, especially to those earlier years of my career, and bring the growth and the experience that I have now, and just do a better job, and never ever feel like it was okay to be an asshole to anyone ever. Look, I wanted to make funny TV shows for kids, and we definitely did that. But if I could go back, I would get it done in different ways. I'd just be nicer as often as possible, and listen more to the people on my team. And I would do everything that I could to make sure that everyone had a good experience. That's what I do differently.
Dan, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we also were able to hear from Dan's side and to hear so quickly about that. And yes, you cannot go back and change the things that you have done, but you can go forward and making sure you do things differently, that you can actually implement those things that you say that you wish you could have implemented when you were doing the unconscious stuff. So it's like, I don't know if he is still a writer. I don't know if he is still working in Hollywood. I have no idea. I just know that with Nickelodeon, it was over for him. So if he is writing, and he's not just working with children, but just with people in general, that he would practice what he preaches. Because again, I am okay with what I said preaches, Lord. Practice what he preached. Come on, Andrew Caldwell, yes. But I feel like he can make a change. Be that individual who makes it easier and safer for people in Hollywood. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because Hollywood is very capitalistic. It's always been that way. They care about money above all things. We can always get another person. We can always get another this. How many successful actors and actresses have we seen low-key fade from the limelight as a new, young, fresh, hot one come in to basically just do the cycle over and over again? And the people who really benefit are the big wigs who really don't give a fuck about you unless you're making the money. And we're seeing this destroy people's lives. So I guess, like, let me ask you this. What more do you think is going to take, Harold? Like, we've had people's testimonies from, like, again, the 20s and the 30s and the 40s who have experienced what a lot of people, unfortunately, are experiencing today. And even when they do speak up, they're labeled some type of way. Again, look at Taraji P. Henson. Look at Monique. Look at these people who saw the injustices and wanted something better and got ostracized. How dare you? You need to be glad that you're fucking here. No, you need to be glad that I'm here, because I'm helping to bring this shit to life, because y'all chose me. So what's up? What are your thoughts,
Like you said, I'm not really sure if it'll change because again, like you said, it is a capitalistic society, and in order for that to happen, people have to actually be held accountable for what they do. And when you have so many around who are afraid of whatever the consequences may be for actually speaking up, that allows the ones who are enforcing said the disruption on sets, it allows them to continue what they do. So again, I'm not really sure if it'll change. I don't know.
Do you think that it would be better? And I'm trying to really think about this because like I think it's been done before multiple times, but like, do you think that there are people who can literally make their own independent version of Hollywood? Because I mean, we've seen Dan Schneider literally create like his own ecosystem when it comes down to Nickelodeon and how it was a habitat for children. Do you feel like that could be done on an independent level, especially if they ended up having people, whether it be private or not, who will be willing to fund the projects? Like, do you feel like that could be a way to get out of like the death throes of the system as far as using and abusing you until there's nothing left?
Probably, if they're going to use it, for the right reasons
Yeah.
and not for selfish reasons and greed and money and all that,
Yeah.
and power and all that kind of stuff. I
That'd
think
be the
so.
one thing right there. That money, that power, and that greed is what just
Yes.
fucks me up.
So, again, like I said, you have to when as long as there are people that are not like Dan Schneider and don't get off on the power and the money, I think, yeah, I think so. I do think so.
Yeah, I do believe that there's going to be some sort of independent push from filmmakers because again, even actors in Hollywood are realizing that they deserve greater. They give a lot,
Because
so they should be able to deserve.
isn't that what Issa Rae just recently did? She's independent now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
because
think
they,
she is.
yeah, because again, it's about what's profitable for them, and they have this one viewpoint of
Mm-hmm.
how they profit, and it's like there's so much more to life than that. To where like even when black people do start creating things that are amazing and dope, it's seen as weird because I didn't think black people did this. So it's kind of like, yeah, we're gonna have to be independent, and you're right, like not sacrifice for money or gain, but also realize that no shade because of this system, they gonna want their part regardless you want to give it to them or not. And if you don't give it to
Mm-hmm.
them, they will eventually take it. So what needs to be done in order to protect that so that there can be people who can really benefit from their gifts and talents in the way that God has given to them, and say that they can manifest it without having to go through this entity that is willing to suck the life out of everybody. But yes, Harold, thank you so much for joining me for this one.
Yes, indeed.
I definitely want to do a part two because I definitely want to jump into the whole Drake situation because I know
Oh
that was
yes.
another
Oh yes.
part. I know that's probably, and I hate to say it, it's the most, I guess, salacious part of the
And the
whole
most
documentary.
disturbing to me.
Yeah, and most disturbing as well. But I also want to make sure that women were heard. I want to make sure that black people were heard because Drake even showed that even with him being white and even with him having his own show, that even he wasn't safe
Mm-hmm.
from the dangers of the system because the system don't give a fuck. It benefits from all this stuff. That's why I say all the time, even with us arguing about queer phobia and racism and all this other type of stuff, it is literally a line of division that people make money off of, whether it's on television or in real life. So I think we need to become more aware and really do our part, because if not, every generation going forward is going to have to go through this, and probably even worse, because if we're being aware of all this and nothing changes, the only thing that's going to happen is that it's going to get worse. So we have to do our part. Like I said, I definitely will be bringing back bringing back. Lord, I need to go. I'm high. My brain in 50 million different places. I'm telling you, I be here and everywhere.
Fire that up, Roy.
Okay, because there's so much going on. It'd be like sometimes I feel like I'd be crossing over timelines and shit, and I'd be like, what? It just there's so many intersections that kind of just get me, and I think a lot. I talk very fast. I try to slow down sometimes, but I think very fast. So it's kind of like all this information. I'm trying to find ways to share this information that's also palatable, because I know that I can get up here and people think that I'm long-winded, but if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm actually making fucking sense, bitches. You listen.
Oh yeah, we pick up what you put down.
That's what
We
I'm
definitely
saying.
do that.
But it's kind of like I want more people to talk about this. Like I
Mhm.
want to hear other people's thoughts, even if there's critiques and challenges. I'm cool with that as long as we do it in a respectful
And see,
manner.
this is gaining more traction because I see more content creators actually talking about it. And then with the Freaknik documentary coming out tomorrow, this weekend, I feel like that's both documentaries gonna be all over the place this weekend.
Man, I can't wait for that's the one I really want to get into. Like I just found out about this one like yesterday, and I was like, "Where is this on?" It was on HBO Max. I'm like, "Cool, let me go watch it." That
Mhm.
Freaknik, because I want to talk to the black community about
That's tomorrow.
That's
That is
what I
tomorrow,
wanna
and
talk to
and
the
that
black
and I think that's the one we all are waiting on.
Baby, I'm gonna have to watch it, and we gonna have to. I'm gonna have to schedule a live or something, and maybe like on Friday, because tomorrow is Thursday. It's like on Friday or something. Get a panel of people who watch it, come on there and share our thoughts.
Oh yeah, and I have some libations Friday.
Ooh, yes, and I definitely want to talk about. I want to talk about queerphobia, all that shit, because it's like y'all talking about Sexy Red, and I think they live right now, a particular platform talking about what they saying. Hold on, let me see. Let me look at them real quick. Oh, it ain't live. Oh, they live now. Oh, they live in 4 minutes. They probably listening. They changed they live from 9:30 to 9:45. You caught up with Shawnee's guitar. And I'm surprised that y'all not talking about this on y'all platform.
Right? Because
y'all know who talking about, because y'all care about children so much and protect the children. This is a whole
what about the
documentary.
children? The children. Please save them from the children.
And you're going to get more views than you do talking about the gay shit. And you could probably use Brian Peck's story to back up y'all fear-based ideology about queer people anyway. So it's so funny that y'all lacking on the shit, but the queer people picking it up. So they got a live in 4 minutes called Revenge of the Wretched, okay? We about to see who really wretched, baby, because the wretched motherfuckers learned that shit from somebody.
Oh, we all about to get wretched this weekend with the Freaknik.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, bet when I tell you, I'm probably gonna give me some old English from the stall and just drink old English and act like we back in the motherfucking 90s. Give me some malt liquor. You know that shit cheap. OE be damn $3. Let me go ahead and drink that malt liquor and get on this thing and act completely ratchet. Because like I said, a lot of people who are very holier than thou and righteous, and I'm so better now. Hell yeah, baby. We about to see everybody pass. I already told you. Expose
Yes,
yourself.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Baby,
and I'm ready for it.
I can't wait for children to start having conversations with their parents. Oh, so you was doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I remember you playing this song. I wanna rock. I wanna rock. I wanna.
Mm-hmm. Me so horny.
Was you a pastor now? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, thank y'all for rocking with us for this live. If you can, please make sure that you hit the like button so that you can help this channel grow in the algorithms. If you like the vibe over here on BubzDaGawd, please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my random, sporadic, high-induced, but very conscious ass lives, okay? And if you're feeling compelled, you can definitely hit the Cash App at the bottom of the screen, $BubzDaGawd. Anything you would like to say before we end this live, Harold?
Nothing other than the fact that like you said, it's the age of accountability, and what you put out into the world is about to come back to you tenfold like a boomerang.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head with that. Yep. I agree. Okay, I concur. All right. So again, thank y'all for listening, and I will see y'all pretty soon for part 2. All right. And until
Peace
next
out.
time, everybody, let me get my shit together.
Love never dies, just choose to keep on